Hey, we're back here now with another day, another news cycle. There isn't really too much on Trump today in the election cycle, just a lot on the climate stuff. Biden now calls him a climate arsonist. It's just, dramatics within the election based on that. We also have the state of Nevada issuing a fine to the rally site, $3,000 for allowing the Trump rally to happen there. I'm sure that's not too much of a problem. Trump could easily just throw in $3,000 in order to, pay that fine. We got Biden here in Florida today, trying to get the Hispanic vote. He's about a day late from Trump. He's usually about a day or two behind on what Trump does. We got Biden is outspending Trump on TV, and just 6 states are the focus of the campaign. I guess the main focus is that Biden is outspending Trump on TV, but I mean, it's TV. Who's really watching it? It's kind of more focused on the internet. That's where the ad support should be going. So who really cares if he's outspending him on TV? TV's not where it's at. But if that's where you want to be spending your money, man, that's what you want to do. I mean, you can outspend him, but I don't know if it's working. Where did you get all that money, anyways? Weren't the Democrats bankrupt like 3 or 4 years ago? Like they were literally bankrupt at one point, and now they just have all this money all of a sudden. It's just coming out of nowhere. That's what it seems to be. Well, until probably looking at it a bit more. We've also got up that Kamala Harris promises she and Joe Biden will be more progressive on police reform. Whatever that really means. There was talks about them getting rid of their guns and doing all this stuff. So it's like, what are the police going to end up being after all this? Who knows under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden? It could be absolutely anything. It could be nothing. It could be an authoritarian dictatorship. Who knows? Could be anything with them, and we won't know until it really happens. What also happened last night is that Kamala Harris paints a picture of a Harris administration. She accidentally said that basically it's the Harris administration with Joe Biden and not, Joe Biden's administration. She already gearing up to be president. It kind of seems like it, considering Joe is old, senile, and probably wouldn't be in office very long, so then Kamala Harris would be the next runner-up. And it looks like she's already gearing up to be the next president. Here we just have another article, says the same thing. For quickly clarifying, Joe Biden would be in charge. But yeah, we know Kamala Harris. Joe Biden wouldn't be in charge for very long before you would be. There's a bunch of articles on this. It's a little bit too many. As I was saying earlier, there was, they'll be defunding the police, with all the, oops, here it is, with their police reform, when they get more progressive, they're just going to, get rid of all of it. They're going to talk of disarming all police officers and weapons, as Senator Ed Markey. These are all Democrats. They'll end up working with each other. They'll end up getting rid of all weapons eventually. Kamala Harris is even trying to ban assault rifles, but then is seen being guarded by people with assault rifles. So, ban what is protecting you, exactly. It's good, Kamala. It's good, Alright, moving away from the election news, we've also got, firefighters pushed to the limits as unprecedented infernos rage across the U.S. West Coast still. Well, it's kind of hard when people keep lighting up more wildfires. They keep arresting more people, setting them free, and then they just set more fires again. What are we supposed to do? You're supposed to complain about Trump because that's what most of the news wants to do, just about some dumb political drama. But stuff is really happening, and we really need to find solutions to it. We also have Hurricane Sally coming in on the West Coast or on the East Coast, and that's going to be hitting Mississippi and Louisiana pretty hard. And the northern point of Florida. It's we're expecting to get 10 to 20 inches of rain, possibly up to 30. So there's going to be a lot of flooding. It's got a lot of natural disasters happening right now. That it's probably one of the reasons why the protests have kind of dwindled down a bit. That added on with the arrests, and we got the White House siege coming up in the next couple of days. So I think a lot of people are starting to gear up for that. So there's a lot of reasons why these protests have kind of stopped. We just have the one. We just pretty much have the one in Lancaster, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So, we got some more on Hurricane Sally. There's a lot of a lot of news sources talking about it. Moving on over, then we also got bipartisan lawmakers offer coronavirus relief solution in effort to, kind of break this logjam between the Republicans and the Democrats. So these people, it's a group of people that are just like, all right, we need to find we need to find some solution. Let's try to compromise in the middle here. So Democrats wanted like $3 trillion. It's like, we can't do that. They also wanted like mail-in voting and like voter ID is gone and like all this crap that it isn't supposed to be in there. So they found a solution. Hopefully, maybe this can go through. It kind of, goes through small businesses, unemployment, the $1,200, check that would go out to everybody. So, just the usual stuff, that happened last time. It's like, let's just get these people this money, like, stop playing this political game. Let's help some people now. Let's hope, that goes through and there's not other stuff jammed into it as well. So that's one of the things that we have to be wary about. We also got, the New York Times talking about it. It's about 50 centrist lawmakers plan on Tuesday to present the bill. So we'll see over the next couple of days how this works out. Pelosi saying that the House should remain in session until coronavirus stimulus deal is reached. So, hopefully over the next, few days, week or so, we actually do get something. On other news, we got a South Dakota Attorney General involved in a fatal car crash. Initially reported he hit a deer. He said he hit a deer around 10:30 p.m. and then officers went the next morning and they found the body of 55-year-old Joseph Bover. And kind of looking like he probably hit him. Who knows? Maybe he was intoxicated, maybe something. We don't have any evidence on this yet, so once a little bit more evidence comes out, I'll probably report with an update on this, probably tomorrow, next day, once we get a little bit more evidence. We also got the Justice Department internal watchdog is investigating Roger Stone's sentencing. Just kind of investigating, kind of just all the stuff that's happening around Roger Stone, how he kind of got off the hook and all that. It's just more Roger Stone stuff. So a few places talking about it. Scientists also discover an antibody that neutralizes a virus that causes coronavirus. So it literally just stops coronavirus, and it doesn't stick to the human cells, it says, so, it doesn't have any side effects. This could actually be just, one thing you could take, in case you happen to catch coronavirus, boom, it's gone, you're good, you won't spread it. Bada bing, bada boom, kind of thing. Alright, so we got a lot to cover here, kind of just in the, smaller news. And then we got some stuff that, kind of focuses more around the world. Hong Kong, Iran. We got, we got the peace deal to talk about. That'll be really good. But first, we got the sister of Pennsylvania man that was killed by police. Saying she's trying to get help. One thing I got to say is mental health is a real issue here. This situation wouldn't happen if we had the programs for mental health to begin with, but we don't, and we're getting rid of those more and more. Those are things that we need to focus on a bit more. We need to help these people before these situations happen. I mean, what was this officer supposed to do? He rolls up and gets out of his car, and this guy starts running at him with a knife, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do to protect yourself. You got to protect the area. That's what happens. But and it's not about what happened now, and it's about trying to solve these problems before they happen, because a lot of people we all have mental health problems, in this day and age, with depression, anxiety, all these problems, and being cooped up with the lockdowns and coronavirus, and now the protests and all this. Everybody's getting antsy, and everyone's just on edge. So people are going to start snapping, and if we had these programs to begin with, we would have been able to start dealing with a lot of these problems, just in a more constructive manner. So last night, because of that, Lancaster was still rioting. They went to the police station, just calling them KKK and throwing rocks, breaking windows, destroying cars. They arrested 13 people last night. That's the next story. We'll get to her. It's just, more rioting and everything. Lod Schaefer, shooting some video, getting stuff done. So as you can see, breaking Antifa has begun breaking the windows of the Lancaster Police Precinct. Officers are responding with non-lethal rounds and are now in the streets. Protesters in Lancaster yell police who have taken a defensive position. There has not been any violence, just words exchanged. And then, someone tried to, destroy a vehicle, tried to light it on fire, and then afterwards, by the end of the night, they just started a random fire in the middle of the street with just a bunch of stuff. So, that was Lancaster last night. Next, we had 3 protesters charged after harassing diners in the viral video where, the lady drank their beer. So she got charged. 2 other people got charged, for smashing glasses, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to claim that the people called them over, have a conversation, have a beer and everything. But then she's just like, I don't have time for that, and just takes their beer and decides to drink it herself. It's like, okay, well, what about coronavirus, lady? You should drink someone else's beer with coronavirus happening. It's like, okay, whatever, girl. So we also got a Sacramento activist climbs on top of a moving police car. Protesters claim that he got ran over, but if you watch the video footage, he clearly jumps on top of the police vehicle when it's moving about 2 miles an hour. And then the police vehicle starts to speed up once everyone starts banging on it. And this guy, flips around on top over the hood, over the back of the car and everything. And then they're just like, you ran him over. And it's like, no, he didn't run him over. He clearly jumped on top of the vehicle. Like, what? So it's like, maybe pay attention, when people are just jumping on top of a vehicle when it's moving, at 2-3 miles an hour and just start banging on it. I'm sure this cop didn't want to, deal with it. Who knows? People start coming up, Two deputies already got shot in the head. Who knows what would have happened to this guy? They got the hell out of there. So that's what's going to end up happening a lot. They're going to end up surrounding these police vehicles. They're going to end up running away. People are going to be dumb jumping on top of them. In some bigger news, DHS leaked email confirms Antifa is an organized group. They're a bit, loose, but they do try to incite. They've got leaders that just go around trying to incite this violence. There are leaders. There is definitely a group, because you can't have all this by just randomness. There is a group. In an internal email from the Department of Homeland Security leaked to CBS Catherine Herridge late Monday, detailing that the violence in Portland was not opportunistic, but rather organized, confirming law and suspected details about the Antifa movement. So it's not entirely like for sure that they're, organized according to the DHS, but this is definitely not opportunistic. It's definitely organized, and Antifa is definitely doing something. They're using the Antifa is using the Black Lives Matter movement to push their causes more. There was in all a lot of the leaders Twitter bios saying that they're Marxist. You know, they'll be supporting Antifa. We've also got in Louisville, we've also got that Louisville will pay $12 million to Breonna Taylor's family, and, you know, look into reforming the police. A month after her death, Taylor's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the 3 officers involved, alleging authorities used excessive force. In an amended complaint, the family also claimed Taylor's death was the result of a politically driven police operation to clear out a Louisville street to make way for a multi-million gentrification plan. New York Times first reported the multi-million-dollar settlement, said the deal also includes several police reforms that will address officer accountability and how search warrants are executed. Some of the new reforms include an overhaul of how simultaneous search warrants are executed, a mandate that commanding officers review and approve all warrants before they are presented to a judge, and an early action warning system that will identify officers with red flags, according to Fox 19. The deal, which marks the largest settlement paid by the city of Louisville for a police misconduct case, the deal, which marks the largest settlement paid by the city of Louisville for a police misconduct case, will also require the Louisville Police Department to hire social workers to help officers on certain cases. So it's stuff on Breonna Taylor. So it's probably going to be wrapping up now, you know, with the lawsuit settling and everything. We also got the LA Sheriff's deputy praised as a hero for helping her partner survive the ambush shooting. She provided a tourniquet to him, got him healed up enough so, paramedics can then come, get them, patched up fully. So, it's great. It's good on her. Good on her. That's all I got to say. All right, we'll now be moving on over to some of the world news. Trump issues stark warning to Iran after reports country is considering the plot to assassinate a U.S. ambassador. He says, we'll retaliate with about 1,000 times more force if you go through with that. We ain't playing games here. I mean, it's over the fact that we assassinated Soleimani, so they want to attack American diplomats as well. It's just going to create more conflict. We're hoping to get, most of these troops out of the Middle East, out of that area, and, this isn't definitely going to help, so we're definitely getting some people out of Afghanistan. They're going to end up going to Iran or something, so. Trump administration is also blocking some Xinjiang goods from China suspected of being made with slave labor. So, Trump has been Trump has definitely been vocational about not using Chinese goods anymore, especially the ones that have been using slave labors. The concentration camps aren't good. That's why Disney's getting a lot of flack. They made their movie over there near the concentration camps, even praising that area. So it's not looking good for Disney either. It doesn't look real good for Disney either over there. So we could see a huge ban on goods very soon, especially from China. I mean, are Chinese products even really that good anymore? Not really. No, they break within a year, pretty much. Pretty fragile. We've also got a travel warning from Hong Kong, citing new security law. U.S. warns of Hong Kong travel risk. The United States is warning citizens of the risk of arbitrary police and security power in Hong Kong and urging Americans to reconsider travel to the city now that the Chinese government has imposed a sweeping security law there. Yeah, the CCP has been expanding their power over in Hong Kong quite considerably. They've been pushing against those protesters pretty hard and pretty much started gaining control of Hong Kong. And we got our own problems over here. Maybe Trump can go help them, but if he does, that could start a war with China even more. So who knows? China seems pretty adamant about taking Hong Kong. So it's just a decision that's gonna have to be solved at some point. Who knows what the answer will end up being, but we can only hope for the best. It's fingers crossed. In a global COVID-19 vaccine race, China's shot receives first foreign approval. I wouldn't trust it, but hey, I'm just going to say that, if people want to use it, they can, but I definitely wouldn't use one from China considering that the virus came from China. I mean, that's some sketchy stuff. We got Trump then over here. We got the Abraham Accords could push Palestinians towards a peace deal. This is some of the big stuff. So, President Trump acknowledged Tuesday that his administration's brokering a recent normalization agreements between Israel and Arab nations. That was part of a broader diplomatic effort to pressure Palestine into negotiating a peace deal. It also included Bahrain into that. So, yeah, Bahrain came in about a week ago. And as of, a few hours ago, that actually went through. They signed it. Trump was there as a witness. It seems to be going, considerably well. Earlier in the Oval Office, Trump said we're very far down the road with about 5 additional countries. He declined to name the countries. Earlier in the Oval Office, Trump said we're very far down the road with about 5 additional countries. He declined to name the countries he is speaking with and later said it could be 5 or 6 other countries. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, I'm not going to say that right, and the foreign prime ministers of both the EAU and Bahrain were present to sign the deals at the ceremony. Trump signed onto each one as a witness. The leaders also signed a separate trilateral declaration of peace. So, hey, stuff's moving forward. This is pretty big. This is decades, if not centuries of fighting, that could be solved over... And with Trump's presidency, who knows? It's pretty big. Donald Trump hails down dawn of a new Middle East as leaders of, Israel, EU, and Bahrain signed the peace deal at the White House. So we could see more, it could be the dawn of a new Middle East. You never know. Could be, it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's nonviolent. It's about talking. It's about talking to one another and trying to find a commonality. We got President Donald Trump on Tuesday hailed the dawn of a new Middle East when he presided over the singing of historic diplomatic deals between Israel, the United blah blah and Bahrain. Blah blah. Let's see, Trump has said, we're here this afternoon to change the course of history. After decades of division and conflict, we mark up the dawn of a new Middle East. Thanks to the great courage of the leaders of these 3 countries, we take a major stride toward a future in which people of all faiths and backgrounds live together in peace and prosperity, Trump said in his remarks. Earlier, he described it as, Is this still Trump? Okay, yeah. Making sure it's still Trump saying this. But earlier he described it as, this is peace in the Middle East without blood all over the sand. Which, there's definitely been a lot of. I mean, it's pretty much been going on my entire life. It's going on much longer most people's entire life. So this is pretty big. Considering, Trump's now nominated twice for the Nobel Peace Prize, brokering this deal, it's pretty historic, I would say. But, I mean... U.S. News doesn't care too much about it. Don't worry, they'll say some other stuff. It's all about that climate change stuff at his rally. That's the more important part. Instead of peace in the Middle East. But hey, that's the mainstream media. So yeah, with that is the daily news, and lots happened. We got minimal protests, but that could spark up more. We got peace in the Middle East happening. That's huge. We got. The elections are starting to kick off. Rallies are starting to kick off. People are getting angry. People are getting sad, mad, glad. Everyone going crazy. So, we'll be back tomorrow and the next day. We'll be back tomorrow with another day of daily news coverage. This is New Truth News signing out.